What's up, Internet? Welcome back to the Roottrees Are Dead. In the last episode, we don't remember because oh yes, that's right. It's been a couple days since I've played the game, yeah, a lot has gone on in my life since, so remembering things is sometimes very tough. But in the last episode, yes, we found out that there are different regions of the Roottree company. Specifically, there's one for China, Brazil, there was going to be one for France, and that one went away, and then there's an Australia one, which we have not investigated yet. The last thing we were end up doing was the Lang family, and our guess was that Guy had some form of affair with Jinyu, the daughter of some of the like textile companies and stuff like that, textile corporations, exactly. And then their children have the U.S. branch of the companies, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we should probably go back through this and kind of unpack this just slightly, just so maybe we can put in the thing. I also don't know for sure that this is exactly what where exactly this should be placed in the timeline, but we'll table this for now. So let's start there. Let's go back. I probably shouldn't have paused where I did the last time, but I was running out of time, unfortunately. Okay, cool. So, Peace of Asia is the American arm of Lang Thai. According to their site, the Thai in Lang Thai translate to peaceful. Too many to investigate, yada, yada, yada. The business is said to be owned by husband and wife Jerry and Linda Han. Their Chinese names are listed too, and from using an online translator, it seems that Jerry is Han Junwei and Linda is Lang Jin Yao. Right, so this is Jin Yao is Jinyu's sister, or so we've seen. Hong Bo was said to personally win over the family, owner of the multiple textile factories. His brother, Lang Hongyu. After Hongyu died, it passed to the oldest child from the next generation, Lang Jinyu. So we don't know between these two men whose daughter was Jinyu technically, because if it's saying that the oldest child from the next generation, it could have been Hongyu's child or Hong Bo's child. But regardless, it passed to Jinyu. Current CEO is a woman, listed simply as Jinyu. Doesn't list her last name, though. She does appear in the family tree below Hongbo. Right, okay, so she is Hongbo's daughter. Okay, great. And then we know that Min Lang... There was something about... Right, so Jerry Linda, so that's Jin Yao and Junwei. That's their... So Mark Han is focused on philanthropy and hanging with the Hans. Jerry and Linda were both born in China and fell in love during college. Linda's father led a large company. The article never names it. After expanded to the U.S., Linda's father approved their marriage so long as Jerry took over the U.S. portion of the business. Linda jokes that the entire situation is like something out of an Alanis Morissette song. My big sister was desperately in love with the idea. She used to have this Butch Cassidy poster on her wall and was obsessed with Robert Redford. Somehow Jerry and I were the ones sent here, and now we couldn't possibly imagine going back. We had Mark. We never considered giving him a traditional name. Meanwhile, my sister stayed in China and has thrived there. She doesn't even like visiting the U.S. anymore. Our kids are complete opposite, though. Mark couldn't wait to travel abroad as soon as he was old enough. He's actually in business school in China now, working with my sister. Our niece, who grew up there, was the opposite. She couldn't wait to get here. She started calling herself Lucy Lang in high school and flew out here as soon as she graduated. The name change apparently drove my sister absolutely local, though. Now, the only other thing that I'm remembering is that she carried her sister's child, didn't she? Where was that? There was something in here, and I forget exactly where. Oh, maybe it was on the evidence? Hold on. Let's go to the history. No, I remember. So I don't remember where I got it, but there was something about Jin Yu carrying both children. So I think the idea is that Mark. So you would be here. We'll hold off on your spouse for a second. You're split up, right? Because you're not with... If this was Jin Yao, you would be with Jerry, or the dude that is Jerry. So one of you is this woman, and her birth name is Min Lang, isn't it? Cool. And we'll hold off on this, and this person is Mark Han. And that comes from here. When we had Mark, we never considered giving him a traditional name. Meanwhile, my sister stayed in China and have thrived there. And now Min Lang is her birth name. And she is... The Herald is for a college. So she is a college student. And then you are a CEO. Right? Is that still says that here? She runs a business. Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't work, we'll fix it. Who are you married to, though? That's interesting. Or were sorry, who were you with? Oh, interesting. Right. So the affair technically was here. Oh shit. Where was the... Where was that? There was something about... I remember there was something about her carrying someone's child. Damn it. Where... I wish I could figure that out. Okay, well, this I feel decently okay about. I think I'm going to table this. We'll probably do our full reevaluation. So if that's correct... That's correct, and that's correct. Oh. Oh, right, we don't have a last name. Oh. Oh, okay. So something's not right because I should have 4 correct. Interesting. I think I'm just going to let this live for now. And I think I'm going to just move to a completely different branch because, again, I think the distance from this has actually hurt me a little bit. I feel pretty confident in this. Actually, I feel pretty confident in all of this so far, so I'm curious to know what I actually have wrong. It might even just be names. Well, this one's obviously not correct, but this could be. I don't see any reason why this shouldn't be correct. So, unless this is a misdirect and he doesn't actually father a child here. The only other thing that I think we should definitely be looking up is that we owe Roottree Australia. Roottree Australia is one of the companies created to manufacture and distribute Roottree candy. It was developed as part of the Roottree Everywhere initiative in summer 1979. According to a history website for Roottree Australia, Charles Martin, who owned a company... So let's add a page. Let's see. If we need it, we'll have it. Why can't I ever, select this? I have to do this weird thing. Okay. Charles Martin, who owned a company that manufactured licorice in Australia, was tapped to run the Roottree factory after he impressed the American leadership of the Roottree Candy Company at the time. Roottree Australia did have some success, but only in certain regions. The manufacturing leg of the company shuttered in '92 after the death of Martin, and Roottree Australia now serves as an importer and distributor. Okay, so maybe not a lot here. Charles Martin was a candy manufacturer in Australia, born in 1923. So he was old by the time he inherited Roottree stuff. He had a popular brand of licorice called Martin's Licorice Bullets. Most of his history is unrelated to Rootrees. However, in 1979, he helped to develop Roottree Australia. He used his own wealth to build a new factory, and they distributed the maple treats through the same methods he had already been using for his previous candy venture. A website about Australian commerce mentions that he had a very unusual business agreement with the main Roottree company in the U.S. Much like how the Clancy Trust distributed the profits from the Roottree company evenly to the Roottree family, the profits of Roottree Australia would be split 50-50 between the American Roottree company and Martin himself, for him to do with what he wishes. That made Martin very, very wealthy, but also led to many cost-cutting measures that meant to increase profits as much as possible, especially towards the end of Martin's life in the early 1990s. Roottree candy gained a poor reputation in Australia, and sales suffered immensely. Charles' vast fortune was passed along to his daughter, Robyn Martin, who sold both businesses at first opportunity. We've heard about Robyn before, and that was... yeah. So let's go back to this. Despite his best efforts, I never got the whole truth. So, sometimes he knew, sometimes he didn't. He invited me to join. So this is oh shit, what is her name now? Right, Cicely Sanchez. So Cicely, this is the reporter that was about to write the book about him, and she follows him to all these different places that Guy was dotting around to. So I actually had people on him when he went to Australia, France, and China too. When he met with someone, I'd figure out who they were and how they were involved. Doubly so if the meeting happened when he didn't want me to be around. Despite his best efforts, I never got the whole truth, including things that even his family never knew. For example, the daughter of his business partner in Australia, I think her name was Robyn, he and she definitely spent a few nights together, and that he didn't want his family to know about, but I did. Cool. Okay, so that might be this last little branch here. She might never have been with someone, but we have a child maybe. Let's see. Let's go back to Australia. We've looked up Charles Martin. I don't think Martin would be in anything. Well, actually, we have a new search for periodicals. Okay. Business Watch mostly focuses on American businesses, but the expansion of Roottree in Australia did create a bit of a blip in 1978. It mentions that Charles Martin met with the leadership and legal teams from Roottree in late 1977. They came to an agreement and broke ground on a new factory in 1978. The Rootree's company statement, said to come directly from the president, was a brief and a bit awkward. Roottree is excited to begin a new adventure down under. We're extremely impressed with Charles Martin and feel like this expansion heralds a new era for Roottree that will last for years to come. Roottree is founded on family, and Charles' family has also impressed us, especially his daughter Robyn. We'll know she'll continue to steer the ship just as Elias Roottree's family continues to do so here in the USA. So this is really just continuing to clue Robyn. I think that's the best thing here. I doubt this is gonna do anything else here. I don't think any of these other periodicals are really gonna do it for me, but let's see. Yeah, I would doubt Teen Blast. All right, now let's do... All right, so that's just the same thing. How about if we... Again, I doubt anything here is going to really matter. Oh, okay, same. It leads to the same thing. It's just going to redirect. Okay, so now, Robyn Martin. Robyn Martin is featured in many of the top 100 wealthiest women in the world lists. She owns a private island off the coast of Australia where she reportedly has her own exclusive retreat. She has no husband, okay, so that's credence to this. And there was a widely circulated rumor somewhere in the mid-70s that she had a medical procedure to ensure she would never have children. You find a joke on a site called Edgy Jokes that implies she's quite promiscuous and has a punchline involving Robyn's eggs. Oh, bae. For what it's worth, Martin seemed to lean into the rumors. In the 80s, she once showed up at a charity function with 3 very attractive men, each wearing a shirt that said "Satisfied Partner" on it. Oh my goodness. But there's maybe a hidden baby in here somewhere, so let's see. Besides the jokes about Robyn's eggs, there's a lot of jokes about the band U2 for whatever reason. Okay, cool. How about Robyn's eggs? Really? Oh, interesting. Okay. Oh. No, that's too much. She had a medical procedure to ensure she would never have children. Found a joke on a site called Edgy Jokes. Well, surely she would be in Business Watch, right? There we go. Apparently, Robyn Martin sold off her father's assets in '92, the year after he died, which combined with her inheritance immediately catapulted her to an almost unimaginable level of wealth. The writer at Business Watch who was assigned to report on this news seems to disapprove of this move immensely. While the article does touch on the announcement of who took over the licorice division as well as what was to become of the Mabel Candy Factory, the entire text seems to be dripping with contempt that someone would be willing to dismantle and gut such a successful company just to earn a quick buck. The article ends with a dig at Robyn's personal life and lack of traditional values. But who am I to judge? Maybe she sold it to her. Maybe she sold it to ensure a better future for her own children. Oh wait. Ooh. Okay. I wonder if Robyn's eggs would do it. Let's see. Let's go back through these. This sounds like a tabloid thing that they would be jumping on. I don't know. That might be actually a dead end. There's a chance that there's a chance that there's more people here involved than needed. Like, they're giving us every name, right? Like, I'm gonna see Robyn here, right? But like, that doesn't mean that she necessarily is on this chart, which I find really interesting. I really like that idea that there's a chance that they're not here. Okay. I think we've done enough waffling so far, and we've spent like 20 minutes doing that. I want to start digging into this, what I'm assuming is this timeline here, which is the Possible Infidelity 2, which is 1949. Ages ago, we got this lead about Mary Beth Clementine, and we could start going through that. So let's go back through that evidence. So there was a letter sent. So Regina Clementine, she used to be Regina Salazar, and her husband, Stuart Clementine. His mother was Mary Beth Clementine. So Stuart is a police officer. Do I have this all on? Yes. Okay, so Stuart's mother is Mary Beth Clementine. She's a pretty well-known singer that spent a lot of time in the Miracle Church. And that's where we think that this is used, his picture here, because if he's the one that had affairs with Mary Beth, then that's what starts here. So we have not looked her up yet. So here we go. Let's start this process. So Mary Beth Clementine. Mary Beth Clementine was a singer most popular in the years between 1942 and 1959. Cool. She traveled around the country performing at churches. Her repertoire was a mix of religious and popular songs, and although she recorded a few records, they seem lost to time. The only one you find mentioned was a cover of He's Got the Whole World in His Hands, released under the label New Edison, so that's very important. We'll get that. One thing Mary Beth was known for was her adoptions. She's listed on many sites that mention adoption and the history of adoption. She adopted 2 children in the late 40s, Stuart and Mark. Okay, well, that's important. One thing, blah, blah, blah. Okay. She also spoke as an advocate for the benefits of adoption in front of the United States Congress in 1949, who were convening to debate and discuss the then recent first adoption of an African-American child to a white family in the United States. She was specifically there to detail her experience going through the system to adopt Stuart. Her other son was adopted later, and according to a single line on one adoption site, under unusual circumstances. In 1959, it surfaced that Mary Beth had been twice divorced. Okay. Both times to her manager, Sterling. Okay. Actually, let's delete that and just use the whole. This ended her career with the religious audience she had been catering to, and while she performed occasionally since then, she faded mostly into obscurity. Mary Beth passed away in 1994 at the age of 76 of a stroke. Okay, so there's some stuff to pull in here, so let's try... This is a song. Yeah. I think New Edison is going to be the thing to pull in here. Yep. New Edison was a small record label based in LA that existed for a few years in the 40s. It raced to release cover records of songs that were gaining in popularity. According to a website about the the history of recorded sound, it was named after its founder, Sterling Edison. Ahaha, okay. Its biggest claim to fame is being sued by the estate of Thomas Edison in Edison Records versus Edsel. Maybe we just look up Thomas Edison, too. You find a few references to New Edison and Mary Beth Clementine on sites about old records. One collector says that the Holy Grail is a re-release of The Old Rugged Cross, and says that the first edition was originally published before she legally changed her name. Okay, so her real name is not Mary Beth Clementine. Copy that. She legally changed her name. Copy that. Another site claims that the police had to be called to New Edison Records after its owner, Sterling Edison, got in a physical altercation in public, leading to a divorce. There are no cited sources or evidence, and the site's content seems user-submitted. There's an email address at the bottom and the phrase, "Send me your stories about old Hollywood and I'll add them to the page." Interesting. Okay. So Sterling seems to be at the middle of a lot of this. Stuart and Mark. We could look up Stuart Clementine. I wonder if that's going to work. Clementine isn't that popular of a last name, and you managed to find a Stuart Clementine listed as one of the many names on an emergency service website in New Orleans. It seems he's a police officer. He has no web presence. How about Mark Clementine? Crocodile Clementine is listed on a website titled The Infamy List. It's a massive list of criminals who are known for odd crimes. Although Mark's nickname would imply he hails from Florida, a lot of the others on the list come from there, or Australia. Mark is listed as being from LA. He's a pretty big entry. He seems like a real piece of work. There's a very small note about him being the basket baby of 1950, but most everything else comes from his adulthood. He lost his job in 1975 as a pilot for a regional airline after he tried to board the wrong airline's plane. He was drunk. He was charged with trespassing and assault. In 1982, he was arrested for transporting smuggled animals over the Canadian and Mexican borders for an illegal reptile supplier in Los Angeles. He was apparently quite successful for the first 4 years, but was caught when he had to make an emergency landing in Portland after he was bitten on the foot by a crocodile, hence the nickname. Apparently, the Portland Telegraph is credited as having given him his nickname. His mugshot from the incident has been added to your photos. Okay, that's the evidence. In 93, he was released on parole, but his freedom didn't last long. He was arrested in 94 in San Diego for violating it in an attempt to visit his daughter's graduation. Okay, he has a daughter. That's good to know. He famously punched the principal, a man named Billy Sims. The incident received national press. Okay, lots of stuff here. So, if we take a look at this timeline then, did it say kids? So, Right. So here's the thing. So if this is Miracle, this is Mary Beth. She was with Sterling, which we'll have a photo of at some point. They had some form of, one of these kids is adopted and probably the other one is a miracle child. So Stuart may be the adopted one and then Mark may not be, it seems. Mark is with someone. He has 2 kids. The one of those is the graduation one, and then maybe the older one, maybe not this one, but the older one is married with a child who we don't know yet. Okay, so I'm already starting to get the shape of this, if that's what this is. It definitely checks out so far. We just have a couple things that we're missing. Okay. Let's definitely also look up the infamy list. We have a lot of stuff here. Basket Baby, Portland Telegraph. Okay. Let's go back. Let's just keep going through this list here, right? We looked up Stuart Clementine. We looked up Mark Clementine. I don't think this is going to work, but let's just do this. Yeah. Okay, and I think the next thing to do is look up to Stuart. Sterling. Here we go. New Edison. Oh, he's redirects to the New Edison page. Copy that. Okay. Let's look up this court case then. Edison Records was one of the first record labels named after Thomas Edison. The history of the company seems very unimportant, except for potentially a lawsuit they filed in 1949, Edison Records versus Edsel. A website about lawsuits mentions this is a fun case because the name of the lawsuit was actually the biggest problem for the person being sued. A record producer who called himself Edison was immediately ousted as not actually being named Edison. Oh, I see. So Edsel is his actual name. Got it. Okay. Sterling Edsel is his name. Cool. Edsel was a German last name, and at the time of the founding of the company, the U.S. was at war with Germany. The company's founder immediately settled to try to get the case to go away, but the damage was done. I love this. This is so cool because it's both using history as the context for something that's it's a deduction for us, but it's also putting 2 and 2 together. I love this. This is so good. Okay, cool. And I think Thomas Edison will not... Yeah, I doubted it. Okay. The Old Rugged Cross is a popular hymn that has been covered by many, many artists. You won't find much relevant information about it online. We'll get there. She legally changed her name, right? So we have to have a real name. We don't know what her name is. Crocodile Clementine, we looked that up. How about Basket Baby? What does that look like? A few sites about true stories focused on and around a religion mention that in 1950, a gospel singer named Mary once found herself dealing with a real baby Moses situation. Apparently, she was a rather prominent supporter of the concept of adoption, and someone decided to test how much. They left the baby on her doorstep in a basket. According to the sites, she adopted him without question and raised him as her own son. Although it wasn't national news, in many circles he became known as the Basket Baby, and he even went on tour with her as he grew up. None of the websites state who the woman or baby were, likely to prevent people from looking into either of the people too closely. From context, you know that it's Mary Beth Clementine, who would later be shunned due to her personal life, and her son Mark, who would later be known as Crocodile Clementine. Okay, well, now we gotta get a new... Yep, there we go. Okay, Portland Telegraph is your run-of-the-mill newspaper based out of Portland, Oregon. They have a website with lots of statistics about how many subscribers they have, how many issues there have been, and the awards they have won. The website doesn't appear to have any useful data. Now, Portland Telegraph is great because we have a couple people who have been based in Portland. So this is awesome. This is a great resource. Let's just finish up this list in Spider Search, though. Billy Sims is the principal of Sandstone Canyon High School, who had his 15 minutes of fame in '94 when he was punched by Crocodile Clementine at a graduation ceremony. Pretty much every news organization from Trustworthy to tabloid seemed to have their own take on the altercation. That's good to know. So that's just saying we should probably look at all of them. It wasn't the punch that captured the nation's attention, however. Instead, it was Billy Sims' matter-of-fact response to the threat and his comments afterwards, as heard in a now famous audio clip from someone who was recording the ceremony. Billy saw Mark hop onto the graduation stage and said, "Sir, you'll want to sit down or we'll have a problem." At that point, Crocodile reportedly sucker punched him in the face. Billy, apparently only slightly dazed, said, "All right, sir, I guess we'll have a problem." That's awesome. Clementine tried to throw another punch, but Sims anticipated it and performed a maneuver that spectators described as a wrestling move mixed with a backward somersault, which immediately brought both men to the floor, with Sims straddling Clementine, keeping him neutralized. As security arrived, the recording captured someone asking, "How did you do that?" And Sims' responses was famously, "Trust me, I'm as surprised as anyone." That's amazing. That is so good. That's obviously like meme territory. I wonder if that's actually based on anything. A lot of this game has been based on somewhat real things or like adjacent to things that are funny. I'm curious about that. Okay, cool. So I've now done I've spider searched the things in this section. I think we're going to call it here. And then in the next episode, we will start pulling things into the Portland Telegraph and looking at some of the evidence we got. We have a good lead on this one. I think I fully understand where this family tree is going, and I'm excited to dive into it more. Thank you for watching this series as always. Please give this video a like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you, everybody.